Hi, guys, this is Mrs. Lamb, and today I am going to talk to you about ancient Latin America, part three. This time you're going to learn about the Inca. Again, like the last two times that we've done this, you are going to fill out skeleton notes and you are going to copy the words that are in red onto your notes. So, around 1400, high in the Andes of Peru, a group of people called the Inca rose up to conquer the people of the surrounding areas. So, in Peru is a country in South America. So, that is actually what we're learning about right now. The Inca capital, from their capital, Cusco, the Incas soon ruled a huge empire that included parts of what are now the countries of Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, northern Chile, Peru, and northwestern Argentina. And again, they are on the continent of South America. So here's a map of South America, and the orange color is showing you where the Inca Empire was. So it's the west coast of South America in the Andes Mountains. The Andes Mountains range goes the entire western coast of South America. The Inca Empire, as you can see from this graphic, existed from approximately 1463 to about 1532. To farm on the steep mountainsides, the Inca built stone terraces. So farming was a little bit more difficult for the Inca because of the fact that they did not have a bunch of flat land because they lived in the mountains. So they literally dug into the sides of mountains, creating these huge things that look like steps. They called them terraces, and that gave them flat land to farm on. And so the terraces also helped prevent erosion of the soil, because by building the terraces and not just trying to farm up the side of the mountain at an angle where when the rain comes, it's going to wash your soil away, by building the terraces, it helps to keep the soil in place. Here is a visual of what the terraces would have looked like. Again, this is the side of a mountain, and you can see from my cursor where the farming would have taken place. You can tell the stone helps to hold the soil in place. What you don't want to happen is a bunch of flat land that is going to, over time, erosion. You don't want the good soil washing away. Here's another angle of the same type of thing here. And yet another angle. Also, they had an amazing irrigation system to, help collect rainwater and help to get all of these crops to grow. The communication across the Inca Empire is kind of interesting. The Inca are known for creating the stone-paved roads, and that counts as a major technological feat for the Inca. And many of these roads are still in use for today. Now, they were really designed for runners, not for vehicles. But Inca people who would run from one place to another to deliver messages. Okay, so sorry about that. So anyway, getting back to it, the roads were used by runners that would deliver one message from one part of the empire to another part of the empire. The Inca also had no written language, so they were not able to actually write a message. The runners would carry verbal messages, so they would just remember the message and they would carry them to other places throughout the empire. The Inca also had no knowledge of the wheel. So there were not vehicles that that turned on wheels or anything. Here is a picture of one of those roads that the Inca used that still is in existence today. The Inca are known for their stonework. They erected many massive buildings, some with stones weighing as much as 200 tons. So it's actually quite amazing, some of the stonework that the Inca did. You can tell from this picture. This is built, in the late 1400s, early 1500s without modern technology. And it's really quite amazing how tightly these stones fit together and how they've held together over the years. And that's really amazing. So just to show you the size of some of these stones, here's a person that's, taking a picture obviously in front of them, but you can tell some of these stones are huge. How did the Inca move these without modern technology? How did they lift these stones and put them into place? We really don't know. The most remarkable of Inca stonework is the city of Machu Picchu, which still stands over 8,000 feet above sea level. And so it's basically a city in the mountains. And the thing that's cool about Machu Picchu, it's in modern day Peru, but the Spanish did not discover it. So it's like virtually been left untouched. The Spanish never found it to like conquer it, to destroy it. So it's a city in the mountains. It's quite amazing. And some of what you see in the background, it looks like smoke. These are clouds. That's how high up this city is. All right, the fall of the Inca. In the mid-1500s, an Inca ruler died without first choosing an heir. This created an enormous problem. Two of his sons both wanted to be the next king. They were both qualified. One brother crowned himself king, but the other brother did not accept his rule. So they fall into a civil war. The brothers are fighting amongst themselves to be the next king. And the civil war lasted for about 5 years. And the brothers and their armies began to fight each other for the right to become the next king. Atahualpa finally won the war. So he became the next king. Atahualpa is who was in power when Pizarro and the Spanish entered the Inca Empire. This is one of the first things we learned about when we started the exploration unit. We learned about Francisco Pizarro and how the Spanish had sailed to what we now know as South America. They were searching for gold. And when the Spanish heard about these supposed cities of gold that the Inca had, they devised a plan to find the Inca and to find a way to get a hold of that gold. So the Incas had little contact with the other Native Americans of the time, the Mayas or the Aztecs, because they were located in what we now know as Mexico and Central America. So they are separated, the Incas are separated geographically from these other Native Americans. So they really don't even know until it's kind of too late about the Spanish and about the invasions and about other empires falling. So they didn't know anything about how the Aztec had been conquered by the Spanish. So to them, the Spanish were simply invaders. But the Inca didn't really take the Spanish threat seriously enough. And so Francisco Pizarro arrives with 167 men, and the Incas have thousands and thousands and thousands. And when the Spanish arrive and essentially invade, typically what the Inca would have done would have been to put the invaders to death and be done with it, not mess around. But they didn't do it this time, and this decision does come back to haunt them. So unfortunately for the Incas, their new king Atahualpa, who, was still celebrating being triumphant, defeating his brother, he decided to let the Spanish intruders have safe passage. He did not kill them. He was going to kill some of them and keep some as slaves, but he was basically just not taking the threat seriously. So once Pizarro entered the Inca Empire in the Andes Mountains, Pizarro knew right away that he was in trouble. So Francisco Pizarro and the Spanish realized, oh my goodness, they could easily kill us. I mean, they were worried, they were nervous, they were scared. The Incas were organized, militant, and numerous, meaning there were a lot of Incas, thousands. And Pizarro and his band of 167 men spent a nervous night waiting for the arrival of the king, who was coming the next morning to officially greet them. They worked up a plan. Their plan was to kidnap the king, Atahualpa. The Spanish probably had little hope of success. When Atahualpa visited them the next morning, he brought with him a small group of about 2,000 priests in attendance, but they didn't bring any weapons. So literally, the king of the Inca shows up without anything to protect himself. And all of the people that came with him, all 2,000, were priests in attendance. They weren't ready to fight or defend him. So Atahualpa wore an emerald necklace. He was carried on his golden throne called a litter. It never occurred to him that the intruders might be a problem. When Pizarro's men leaped from their hiding places, they grabbed the king. So they unexpectedly surprised the king when he entered the room they were in and took him hostage. The priest and attendants didn't know what to do, so the Spanish were able to kill most of them. Once Atahualpa understood what the Spanish intruders wanted, that they wanted gold and silver, and that's why they had come in the first place, Atahualpa offered a huge ransom for his safe release. So basically, Atahualpa agreed to give gold and silver to the Spanish if they would let him live. He offered a room 22 feet long filled with gold and silver. The intruders could take the gold and silver and leave freely. Atahualpa kept his word, but the Spanish did not. Once the gold was delivered, they killed the king and left with as much gold as they could carry. So in the end, Atahualpa was killed anyway. The Spanish took the gold and the silver. They do end up conquering that empire. And it's interesting because Pizarro had kind of studied what Cortez had done. Cortez had conquered the Aztec and had kept a journal of, the events and how he had done it. And Pizarro had studied that and used that information so that he could then conquer the Inca, and it worked. So basically, the Spanish were really after gold. They really were. They were also after, land, and they also wanted to turn everybody they came into contact with into a Christian. But rest assured that they were mostly motivated by gold. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you guys later.